The man on my floor was dead for 6 minutes before I brought him back, and he still left without paying. That's how my Tuesday started. His aura was cracked like stained glass, leaking life into the floorboards. I knelt beside him, palms steady, voice calm. Breathe. Come back. Light poured from my fingertips, gold threads stitching through his chest, knitting his heart back together like it was nothing but a bad dream. When his eyes fluttered open, I smiled. That small, practiced smile I'd given 100 other souls who'd taken more than they'd earned. He gasped, panicked, grabbed my wrist. Did you really bring me back? Yes, I said softly. You're safe now. He looked right at me and ran out the door. No thanks. No payment. Not even a goodbye. I stared after him, the glow fading from my hands. I told myself, it's fine, Hazel. It's what you do. But the room was already dimmer than before. The walls of my clinic hummed with all the magic I'd poured into strangers, the residue of compassion that never came back home. Duskview was a city that ran on two things, mana and manners. If you had both, you could buy your way to heaven. If you had neither, you scraped by under its neon skyline, hoping the rain washed your guilt away. Me? I had too much of one and not enough of the other. They called me the healer on Fifth. Said I was the best aura mender in the Southern District. It wasn't fame, it was a leash. Every day someone knocked at my door. Miss Hazel, my daughter's cursed again. Hazel, can you cleanse this bloodstone? Hazel, I can't pay now, but I'll bring you something next week. Okay? Next week never came. And still I said yes. Every time. Milo, my assistant, finally said it out loud one evening while closing the shop. You know, you could stop saving everyone. I blinked at him, tired but smiling. That's what I'm here for. He sighed. That's what they think you're here for. He was right, of course. He always was. I just didn't want to hear it. When the summons came from the Central Magic Council, I thought it was about my renewal license. I remember smoothing my coat, braiding my hair, telling myself, maybe they finally noticed all the lives I saved. They noticed, all right, just not the way I hoped. The council chamber was cold. Blue light spiraled in geometric patterns underfoot. Truth wards, transparency sigils, illusion filters. I stood in the center, surrounded by people who'd once cheered my name. At the head sat Molly Green, head of aura regulation and the most charming liar I'd ever known. Her voice carried that perfect balance of pity and poison. Hazel, we've received multiple reports that your healing magic drains more energy than it should. That patients leave with weakened life force. That's not true, I said, pulse quickening. Every procedure is logged. You can check the records. Oh, we did. Her smile was razor thin. Your files show irregular mana spikes. And you've been taking unregistered clients off the council grid. That's illegal. I stared at her. She's lying. But the runes around us glowed with affirmation. The truth wards read her as clean. Because she'd rewritten the records, scrubbed them with illusion signatures I'd taught her myself. I felt my stomach drop. Molly, I whispered, you know me. You know I'd never. Her expression didn't flicker. I know you mean well, Hazel. But meaning well doesn't undo harm. When they stripped my healer's license, the room went silent except for the faint hum of the wards powering down. Someone murmured, tragic. Another whispered, she was always too emotional. I walked out before they could finish tearing apart my reputation. That night, Duskview's rain fell like static. The city's skyline glowed violet and gold. A cathedral of ambition built on the bones of the kind-hearted. I stood under a broken streetlight, the council's mark of exile still seared into my wrist. A pale burn that pulsed with every heartbeat. I thought of all the lives I'd saved. The smiles, the gratitude, the you're an angel, Hazel. None of it mattered now. One accusation and I was nothing. When I got back to my clinic, the locks were broken. Inside, everything was gone, tomes, crystals, even my plants. The neighbors said a repossession team came while I was at the hearing. The city didn't waste time erasing its fallen saints. I sat on the floor in the dark, holding a cracked focus crystal, feeling the faint pulse of magic fading inside it. Milo had already messaged me once. They're saying Molly found evidence you were absorbing aura fields. I'm sorry, Hayes. I didn't reply. What was there to say? He'd leave too like the rest. I remember whispering to the silence. I did everything right. I helped everyone. I never asked for anything back. So why does it feel like I was begging for permission to exist? The crystal in my hand went cold. The truth was simple. Kindness had made me invisible. And invisible people are easy to bury. That was the night I stopped believing in light without shadow. The night the city's heart finally synced with mine. Pulsing, electric, and cruel. Duskview was still alive outside my window. But something in me wasn't. I didn't know it yet, but that was the night I'd start learning a new kind of magic. The kind that doesn't heal the world. It heals the person who's done pretending it doesn't hurt. The apartment smelled like burnt sage and failure. The walls were paper thin. The kind that carried your neighbor's arguments straight into your dreams. Every night, Duskview hummed outside. A constant buzz of traffic and enchantments, drones flying overhead, laughter spilling from the bars. And in the middle of it all, I sat on the floor, jobless, blacklisted, and trying to remember who I'd been before my name turned to poison. I found work at a potion bar in Southbridge, the kind of place where broken mages came to forget themselves. The owner, a grizzled pyromancer named Vero, didn't care about my past as long as I could brew without blowing up the shelves. So I mixed calming drafts, bottled fake love charms, listened to drunks brag about magic they barely understood. And every so often, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror behind the counter. The woman with tired eyes and shaking hands who'd once been Duskview's angel healer. "You used to glow," Vero said one night, watching me refill the ward lamps. "Now you just flicker." I didn't answer. I didn't have the energy to explain that flickering is what happens before the flame learns to burn differently. The nights blurred. Work, sleep, repeat. Until one evening, a woman stumbled into the bar, eyes wide, veins glowing black with a malware curse. She screamed, clawing at her throat, collapsing on the floor. Instinct took over before reason could stop me. "Hold still," I said, kneeling beside her. My hands trembled as light gathered in my palms. But when I tried to draw the curse out, something pushed back. A glitch, a loop of corrupted code laced with intent. I felt it crawling into me. I should have stopped. I didn't. I twisted the energy, rerouted it through my own mana channels, and then accidentally, into a cracked glass nearby. The glass exploded. The curse was gone. The woman blinked at me, dazed but alive. What did you do?" I looked at my hands. They were still glowing faintly, threads of violet energy dancing between my fingers. I think I transferred it," I murmured. "Transferred it. Not dispelled. Moved it." After she left, I stayed long after closing, staring at the shards on the floor. It didn't make sense. Magic followed rules, energy flowed from caster to conduit, not sideways, not like that. But something had shifted inside me that night. Something that didn't care about rules anymore. I experimented quietly after that. A small charm here, a hex there. I'd focus, visualize 2 points, source and destination, and weave a line between them. One night, I transferred a nosebleed curse from my coworker's apron to the trash bin. The next, I shifted a malfunctioning spell from Vero's cauldron into a stray coin, watching it fizzle harmlessly. Echo weaving. That's what I started calling it. The magic of redirection. Reflection. Felt liberating. For once, I wasn't just fixing things, I was controlling where the damage went. The discovery woke something in me. I stopped wearing my old pastel coats. I cut my hair, let it fall in an uneven silver fringe that matched the city lights. I bought a black jacket lined with protection sigils I stitched myself. And when I walked through Duskview now, people didn't see the sweet healer anymore. They looked away. Maybe they sensed it, that quiet shift in my aura, that sharpness I no longer hid. One night, as I was closing up, Vero looked up from his ledgers. "You've changed," he said simply. I smiled. "I had to." "Good," he said, shrugging. "Kind ones don't last long in this city." "I'm still kind," I said softly. "Just selective." He chuckled. "Selective kindness. Sounds dangerous." "It's balance." But deep down I knew it was more than that. It was a reclamation. Because every time I used echo weaving, I felt the invisible weight I'd carried for years, the exhaustion, the guilt, the need to be good slide off my shoulders. I could finally breathe. I started keeping a notebook again. I filled its pages with sketches of runes, fragments of theory, stray thoughts like, "Kindness is a spell too. I just forgot it needed a cost." And another one, "The world doesn't reward light. It exploits it." Duskview glittered through my window, reflections of rain and neon spilling across the page. Somewhere out there Molly Green was thriving, her lies now gospel truth. I could almost see her. Flawless smile, immaculate mana signature. A picture of success. My fingers brushed the faint burn on my wrist where the council's mark still lingered. It pulsed once as if remembering. For months I'd let them write the story. The naive healer who flew too close to the sun. The tragic cautionary tale. But with this new power humming inside me, I realized something simple and terrifying. I didn't need to tell my side of the story. I could rewrite it. And when I did, no one would ever mistake my kindness for weakness again. The city of Duskview glittered beneath the moonlight, tall glass spires reflecting streaks of neon and starlight, humming faintly with magical wards that pulsed in rhythm with the city's energy grid. I walked through the streets that night as though for the first time, seeing the world not as a doormat, but as a chessboard. And for once I was done playing the pawn. I'd spent 2 weeks rebuilding my strength, fine-tuning my magic, and more importantly studying people. I realized manipulation wasn't always cruelty. It was survival. Everyone else was already doing it except me. And I'd been punished for being good. I smiled faintly, my reflection flashing in a store window. My eyes glowed faintly, not the soft silver they once were, but a simmering amber, like embers beneath glass. I didn't even know when that change happened. Maybe the moment I stopped apologizing for existing. That night, I found myself at Molly Green's penthouse again. This time not as her assistant, but as her reckoning. She was hosting a soiree for the city's elite, all the so-called ethical innovators of Duskview. Perfect opportunity. I slipped through the crowd easily, dressed in black with a hint of shimmer that caught the light, enough to look like I belonged. I could hear their laughter, their false flattery, the exchange of favors and secrets like currency. Molly stood by the balcony, radiant as ever, her hair swept into an elegant twist, her smile the same sharp-edged charm that had fooled me for years. "Hazel," she said, eyes widening slightly when she noticed me. "I didn't expect you." I gave a light laugh. "You never do." She blinked, sensing something in my tone. But I didn't give her time to think. "I actually came to apologize," I said sweetly, "for that little misunderstanding at the lab. I know you've been under stress, and I might have taken things too personally." Her lips curved in satisfaction, that familiar smug smile. "Well, I'm glad you came to your senses. I always said you had potential, Hazel. You just needed to learn how the world works." "Oh," I murmured, my magic flickering faintly in my palm behind my clutch, invisible to all but me. "I'm learning." While she turned to greet another guest, I cast my spell, a silent ripple of distortion that slid through the air like a whisper. In an instant, the evidence she'd planted on me, the stolen research drive that had ruined my reputation, blinked out of her vault at home and materialized right inside her office safe here. Swapped cleanly with a backup drive filled with her own incriminating correspondence. A perfect exchange. A simple act of justice disguised as mischief. By the time the night ended, the city's watchdog agency was already receiving an anonymous tip. I didn't stay to watch it happen. I had no interest in seeing her arrested. I only wanted her to know that the ghost of the woman she betrayed was now rewriting her fate. As I walked away, I felt the hum of my own magic thrumming stronger than ever before. My unique affinity, spatial reconfiguration they used to call it. A rare ability to subtly alter physical placement, reality's small coordinates. Most people used it for art installations or architectural repair. I had found its true purpose, poetic retribution. But even with my small victory, a part of me trembled. Was I going too far? Was this the same energy that once corrupted my mentors, my rivals? That doubt followed me into my dreams, where I saw the mirror plane, the strange dimension my magic sometimes brushed against. Shapes moved there, echoes of myself, of what I could become if I kept treading this path. One was cloaked in light, the other in shadow. When I awoke, my magic pulsed through my veins like wildfire. The city outside glowed with its usual mix of charm and decay. Then came the call. "Hazel." It was Lyra, my former friend from the lab, her voice trembling. "They've taken Molly. They say you tipped them off. Is it true?" I took a slow breath. "Truth," I said carefully, "depends on who's asking." "Hazel, this isn't you," she whispered. What happened to the girl who used to bring coffee for everyone, who stayed late fixing other people's spells? You're not like them. I almost laughed. That girl's dead, Lyra. The world killed her. Then who are you now? I hesitated. Then I smiled even though she couldn't see it. I'm someone who's finally using the tools I was born with. She hung up without another word. I could almost hear the distance between us solidifying like glass. For the first time I felt something close to grief, not for losing her, but for realizing I no longer cared if I did. That night, as I sat by my apartment window overlooking Duskview's skyline, I made a quiet vow. I wasn't going to destroy anyone who didn't deserve it. But I would no longer play saint while others built empires on my back. If the world wanted a cunning mage, I'd become one. But I'd do it my way. The city lights shimmered below, vibrant, merciless, alive. And for the first time in my life, I felt like I belonged among them. 3 weeks had passed since Molly Green's downfall. Her arrest made headlines across Duskview. Innovation tycoon caught in spell laundering scandal. Every newsfeed buzzed with it. Her investors vanished. Her influence collapsed overnight. I should have felt triumphant. I should have felt vindicated. Instead, I felt hollow. The city didn't stop moving just because one queen fell. In Duskview, power was like magic itself. It flowed to fill the gaps. And now that flow was starting to twist toward me. People who once ignored me began calling, flattering, inviting me to meetings. The same mages who once smirked behind my back now spoke my name with careful reverence or fear. And I let them. I learned how to wield politeness like a dagger, how to smile and mean nothing. I found myself standing on glass bridges above the neon skyline, shaking hands with people who wanted my magic, who needed it. I didn't tell them how it worked, only that I could fix problems. One night, I sat across from Draven Kyer, a man rumored to run the city's shadow consortium of mages for hire. He had eyes like steel under stormlight. So, he said, swirling his drink, you're the girl who broke Molly Green. I sipped my own, keeping my tone light. I just fixed what was broken. He smiled. Semantics. Either way, you have a talent. Spatial manipulation, yes? That's rare. Very useful. I don't rent my conscience, I said flatly. Everyone rents something, he replied. Time, morality, loyalty. It's just a matter of price. He slid a datapad across the table. On it glowed the details of a job. An acquisition spell gone wrong. Locked inside a vault guarded by sentient wards. High risk, high reward. Pushed it back. Not interested. He raised a brow. You sure? Because it's already in your bloodstream. Before I could move, a cold pulse of magic rippled through my body. I looked down. The ring I'd shaken his hand with shimmered faintly, its seal breaking. Curiosity's spell, he said, almost apologetic. It'll make you want to open that vault. You'll dream about it until you do. Think of it as motivation. My hand trembled. You think you can control me? He leaned forward, eyes narrowing. No, Hazel. I think I've already begun. When I left the bar, the city felt colder. The spell itched inside my veins, faint but undeniable. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the vault he'd described. Obsidian doors engraved with glowing sigils, floating somewhere deep beneath Duskview's old infrastructure. I tried to resist. I really did. But every hour the pull grew stronger, like a whisper beneath my skin. I couldn't focus. Couldn't eat. The spell was designed to compel, not command. It made me want to do it, to see it through. So I gave in. One night, under the shadow of the city's transit rails, I descended into the abandoned sector known as Low Dusk, where the air shimmered faintly with unstable ley energy. I followed the pull of the spell until I found the vault. It was real. Black stone, humming softly with forbidden runes. Whoever had built it had bound the space itself to secrecy. Like reality folded around it. The compulsion burned inside me, urging me closer. I touched the door. And the world shifted. The floor fell away, or perhaps I fell through it. For a moment I was nowhere and everywhere. Tumbling through overlapping versions of Duskview, cities made of light and shadow, where echoes of myself moved independently, each making a different choice. Then I saw her. A version of me but darker. Eyes glowing molten gold, her aura sharp like a blade. She smiled knowingly. See, she said softly. You're not meant to serve or hide. You're meant to rule. I tried to step back, but she mirrored me perfectly. You've already started down the path. Why pretend otherwise? Who are you? I whispered. I'm what you'll become once you stop pretending to feel guilty. The world convulsed and suddenly I was back, gasping on my knees as the vault's door opened soundlessly. Inside, hovering in the center, was a crystal pulsing with amber light. It thrummed in time with my heartbeat. I knew it instinctively. It was the source of the spell that had driven Draven's network mad. A cognitive amplifier. A relic rumored to enhance a mage's mind and magic 1,000-fold. But I also knew that every record of its existence ended with the same warning. The amplifier feeds on ambition. And mine was already growing. I reached out, and for the first time in my life my magic spoke back. It wasn't words exactly, but a rush of sensations. Hunger, purpose, revelation. The amplifier wasn't forcing me. It was recognizing me. In that moment I understood. All my life I'd been holding back. Every spell, every emotion restrained. Maybe this wasn't corruption. Maybe it was awakening. When I touched the crystal, light exploded through the chamber. The compulsion shattered and Draven's tether snapped. I saw him briefly. His office bathed in alarm light, as his connection to the relic severed. His scream echoed through the ether. And I smiled. For the first time I felt utterly terrifyingly free. But freedom has a price, and in the far distance of my mind, I heard a voice, ancient and curious, whispering from the other side of the amplifier. Welcome, Hazel. We've been waiting for you. When I opened my eyes, the world was burning. Not with flames but with clarity. Every line of the city, every shimmer of light, every heartbeat around me throbbed with invisible color. The air was alive with currents of magic I'd never been able to perceive before. Duskview itself breathed. I stood in the center of my apartment, the amplifier's afterglow still pulsing faintly at the base of my skull like an extra heartbeat. My reflection in the glass wall looked different. My eyes no longer held their usual calm glow. They blazed with threads of amber, like dawn breaking through smoke. For hours I just stood there, feeling it, the power coursing through me. Every whisper of wind, every flicker of light bent slightly toward my awareness. I could move objects without touching them now, stretch sound, alter space in subtle but impossible ways. It should have frightened me. It didn't. Instead, it felt like waking up from a long sleep. I thought of the girl who once flinched every time someone spoke sharply to her. The girl who let people take credit for her ideas, who stayed silent while they smiled and stole. She was gone but not buried. She lived somewhere deep inside, small and trembling. Watching this knew me with awe and terror. That night, as the rain whispered against the glass, I felt another presence stir. Hazel. The voice wasn't external. It bloomed inside my mind like silk unfolding. The same tone I'd heard in the vault. The other me. I told you we'd meet again. I closed my eyes and the world folded like paper, smooth, seamless. When I opened them again, I was standing in the mirror plane. Endless reflections stretched around me, versions of myself at different points in life. Laughing, crying, breaking, healing. But at the center stood her, the shadow self. The one with golden eyes and a smile that could cut through steel. You're still clinging to guilt, she said, circling me. You think you can wield power without becoming what you fear. I won't be like them, I said firmly. She laughed softly. Like Molly? Like Draven? Oh, Hazel. You already are. You've lied, manipulated, used people's greed against them. The only difference is, you tell yourself it's for justice. I stepped closer. Maybe it is. She tilted her head. Or maybe you're just tired of losing. Silence hung between us. Then I said, you're right. I am tired. But I've learned something. Power doesn't change who we are. It reveals it. Her smile faltered slightly. You're not my enemy, I continued, voice steady. You're my mirror. The part of me that learned to survive. I don't reject you, but I won't let you control me. The mirror plane rippled violently. Cracks spread across the surface of our shared reflection. Light bursting through. You can't exist without me, she hissed. Maybe not, I whispered. But I can redefine you. I reached out, not to fight her but to merge. Light and shadow collided. For a heartbeat I thought I would burn apart. But then the two halves of me fused into something whole. Stronger. Balanced. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in Duskview. The rain had stopped. The city was quiet, too quiet. My comm unit blinked. An incoming message from the city's Bureau of Magical Integrity. Hazel Wren, the voice said, crisp and official. We need to speak with you regarding the events at the Low Dusk Vault. Reports indicate an unauthorized activation of a classified relic. I sighed. Of course they do. They arrived within the hour, armored agents with suppression runes glimmering on their coats. But when they entered my apartment, the ward's eyes set shimmered faintly, bending their perception just enough that they couldn't see the amplifier resting on the table behind me. I didn't open the vault, I told them, tone calm. Dravenkire did. I stopped him. Technically true. They left after an hour of questioning, unsatisfied but uncertain. When the door closed, I finally let out a shaky laugh. I had crossed every line I'd once sworn never to touch, lied to authorities, outwitted syndicates, absorbed power forbidden by law, and yet I didn't feel like a villain. Maybe because I wasn't one. Not anymore. I walked to the window. Duskview's skyline shimmered, lights reflecting like molten constellations. Somewhere out there, others like me were waking up too, mages who'd spent their lives hiding their light. Let them come, I whispered to the city. The manipulators. The liars. The users. I've learned their game, and I'll play it better. As if in answer, the amplifier pulsed once more, quietly syncing with my heartbeat. Not controlling. Not consuming. Just amplifying what was already there. The good. The ruthless. The human. Because I had finally realized something profound. Kindness without power invites cruelty. But power without kindness invites ruin. So I would walk the line between both. Not a saint. Not a monster. Just Hazel. A mage reborn from her own ashes. And this time the world would learn to make space for me. Weeks passed and Duskview adapted as it always did. The city forgot Molly Green, erased Dravenkire, and whispered new rumors about a mysterious mage who could rearrange reality. The ghost of the grid, they called her. I didn't correct them. By day I blended into the crowd like anyone else. Coffee in hand, coat buttoned against the wind, my eyes hidden behind dark lenses. By night, I walked the invisible threads between streets, weaving quiet justice where none existed. A corrupted CEO's files would vanish. A slum's blocked ley line would realign. The helpless would wake to find their misfortunes rewritten. Not perfect, no, but balanced. I never claimed to be a hero. I was simply what the world made me, and what I chose to become. The line between light and shadow was never meant to be a wall. It was meant to be a bridge. Sometimes when the neon hum fades and the rain begins to fall, I still hear the echo of my old self, gentle, uncertain, asking if this is the right way. And I always whisper back, yes, because I finally walk it on my own terms. The amplifier rests quietly now, its glow dim, its power tamed. Maybe one day someone else will find it. Maybe they'll face their own reflection as I did. Until then, Duskview sleeps beneath its web of light and secrets, unaware that its balance is held by a mage who learned to stop apologizing for her strength. You know, maybe Hazel's story isn't just about magic. Maybe it's about waking up, about realizing that kindness doesn't mean letting people break you, and strength doesn't mean losing your heart. Sometimes you have to become the storm to protect your light. If this story stirred something in you, if you've ever been too nice, too forgiving, or too afraid to take your power back, then remember Hazel. And if you'd like to hear more stories like hers about courage, transformation, and the magic we carry inside, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tap the notification bell, so you never miss the next tale that reminds you who you truly are.